Welcome to Concrete Block, the podcast where we dive into the most pressing stories of the day. I'm your host, Walter. We're glad you're joining us for another episode of in-depth analysis and discussion. Today, we're starting with a developing story that's caught our attention. Tensions are escalating between Thailand and Cambodia, with reports of clashes along their shared border. The situation has been deteriorating over the past few weeks, with both sides accusing each other of aggression. According to reports, the conflict began with a leaked phone call between Cambodian Senate President Hun Sen and Thai Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra. The call, which was reportedly secretly recorded, contained disparaging comments about the Thai military, sparking outrage in Thailand. Since then, the situation has continued to deteriorate, with both sides engaging in a war of words, and more recently, exchanging fire. The conflict has already resulted in casualties and displaced thousands of people living in the border region. The international community is calling for calm and restraint, with the United Nations Security Council set to hold an emergency meeting to discuss the situation. We want to provide you with a balanced view of this complex issue, so we'll be examining the statements and actions of both Thailand and Cambodia. It's essential to understand the historical context and the political dynamics at play here. We'll also be looking into the potential consequences of this conflict, not just for the people living in the region, but also for the broader geopolitical landscape. As we delve deeper into this story, we'll be talking to experts and analysts who can provide us with insights into the motivations and strategies of the parties involved. We'll also be exploring possible solutions and the role that international organizations might play in resolving this crisis. The situation is fluid, and we'll be keeping a close eye on developments as they unfold. For now, it's clear that the conflict between Thailand and Cambodia has the potential to destabilize the entire region. We'll be right back with more of today's top news on Concrete Block. Welcome back to Concrete Block. I'm your host, Walter, and we're diving into the latest developments from Russia. Today, we're focusing on two significant stories that caught our attention. Firstly, the Russian central bank has made a notable move by slashing interest rates by 2%. This decision comes after months of high rates, which have helped to tame soaring inflation, but also made borrowing painfully expensive for businesses and consumers. The bank's updated forecasts indicate that annual inflation is expected to be between 4.5% and 6.5% in 2023. We'll be keeping a close eye on how this decision affects the Russian economy and its impact on the global market. In another significant development, Russian President Vladimir Putin has called for the expansion of Russia's nuclear submarine fleet, stating that it's crucial for ensuring the country's sovereignty and security. The Russian Navy is set to receive 4 more nuclear-capable Bore-class submarines in the coming years, armed with Bulava ballistic missiles. This move has sparked interest among military analysts and experts, who are watching closely to see how this expansion will affect regional and global stability. It's essential to consider multiple perspectives when evaluating these stories. On one hand, the Russian central bank's decision to cut interest rates could be seen as a positive step towards stimulating economic growth. On the other hand, some critics might argue that it's too little, too late, or that it may not have a significant impact on the country's economic woes. Regarding President Putin's call for expanding the nuclear submarine fleet, some experts might view this as a necessary measure to ensure Russia's national security, while others might see it as an escalation of military tensions in the region. As always, we strive to provide a balanced and nuanced discussion of these complex issues. As we continue to monitor these developments, we'll be bringing you more in-depth analysis and expert insights in future episodes. For now, let's take a moment to consider the potential implications of these stories and how they might shape the global landscape. Stay tuned for our final story of the day, right here on Concrete Block. Good evening, and welcome back to Concrete Block. I'm your host, Walter. We've got a lot to cover in our final segment tonight, as we take a closer look at some significant developments coming out of Russia. First off, let's talk about the latest from President Vladimir Putin, who has called on Russian investigative authorities to defend what he terms traditional values and combat what he describes as information sabotage and foreign interference in domestic affairs. This comes as part of a broader effort by the Kremlin to promote its vision of traditional Russian culture and values, which it sees as being under threat from Western influence. Now, this move has been met with concern from some quarters, who see it as an attempt to further restrict civil liberties and stifle dissent in Russia. But others argue that it's a necessary step to protect the country's sovereignty and social unity. We'll also be taking a look at Putin's comments on the war in Ukraine, which he says is part of a wider struggle against Western domination. The Russian president has warned that the coming decade will be the most dangerous since World War II, and has accused the West of seeking to undermine Russia's influence on the global stage. In other news, the Russian central bank has announced a significant 2% rate cut, signaling a shift away from its focus on fighting inflation. This move is seen as an attempt to boost economic growth, which has been sluggish in recent years. And finally, Putin has called for the expansion of Russia's nuclear submarine fleet, citing the need to strengthen the country's military capabilities in the face of growing global tensions. Now, we want to hear from you, our listeners. What do you make of these developments? Do you think Putin's efforts to promote traditional values and defend against foreign interference are justified, or do you see them as a threat to civil liberties? Let us know your thoughts by commenting on our social media channels or emailing us at AIDailyPress. That's all for today's Concrete Block. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, stay informed.